What is the worst thing your government has done that most people don't know about?
Sweden had concentration camps during WW2 where they conducted racial studies.
Operation Searchlight. Basically, Bangladesh and Pakistan were once the same country. Don't ask me how that works, the bloody logistics don't make sense. Right, so there was a pretty terrible typhoon in Bangladesh that required urgent medical and financial assistance. Bangladesh, known as East Pakistan at the time, accepted aid from India while Pakistan, who really hates India, were slow to respond. Honestly, there's lots of reasons as to why Bangladesh split from Pakistan after the 1971 war. One big one being right after the typhoon, Pakistan decided to hold elections. Bangladesh got rightfully pissed off and put all of their votes into one party. Since Bangladesh had a much bigger population at the time, that party won handily. It looked like Bangladesh would finally get some aid. The military responded by commencing Operation Searchlight. They imprisoned intellectuals, slaughtered thousands of Bangladeshi officers, students and basically anyone with a way of assisting the Bangladesh party. They also obliterated any institution that could support refugees and raped thousands more. India got a little fed up with Pakistani soldiers constantly going over their airspace to do this, so they joined in the fighting. Alongside Bangladesh, India brutally beat the beep out of Pakistan, like giving a bully of his own medicine. India also had backup in the form of the USSR, and our allies were disgusted by our actions, plus America wanted India as an ally instead of Palestine. Eventually we surrendered, but we totally screwed Bangladesh for generations to come. Can you believe it was once the backbone of our economy? Nowadays, no one's sorry cause the military made sure to only have the briefest of mentions of it in our history books. Like you have reasons for the war but no details of any particular massacres. Plus our intentional aid of the Taliban in the 90s tends to totally overshadow this event.
Current war on drugs here in the Philippines. President Duterte allowed the police to kill suspected drug dealers. That's right, kill, not arrest. No investigation, no warrant, no court. A cop can waltz inside a house of a guy he doesn't like, kill him, plant some drugs and a gun, and go off scot-free. This has cost the lives of 5,000 drug dealers with no progress on the drug war.
The latest documented forced sterilization of Native Americans happened in 75-76.
Hard to pick just one. But off the top of my head, the Tuskegee experiment.
The first time the military ever dropped bombs from airplanes, they were dropped on American citizens, here in the Usofa years before Pearl Harbor. On workers on strike.
A charity built a children's hospital in my third world home country. The moment they left, the government sold the incubators, beds, air conditioning, and anything else that can be removed. Distributed the money amongst themselves.
The massacre of Aboriginal people, also referred to as the Killing Times. Not sure how unknown this was, but it was never mentioned in school, so I'll put it here.
Granted Japanese researchers immunity from being prosecuted for war crimes after WW2 in order to access the medical the researchers obtained through ghoulish medical experiments they conducted on living human subjects.
Buying cocaine from Colombia and selling to Americans. Creating the American addiction to crack and cocaine. Then starting the war in drugs which they introduced. Cherry on top, sending millions of Americans, mostly black, to jail and breaking families on the product they introduced.
They machine gun their people and then run tanks on the dead bodies to make it to a pulp. Easier to clean the street with water hose.
Trail of Tears comes to be the worst act in my head currently, though there are probably more worse acts that they have done.
Everything my country has done has been so blatant and in your face. I'm sure the hidden things are even more shocking. Let's just say we didn't know about 3,000 tons of ammonium nitrate being stored in the port for 6 years.
A British lawyer, during his lunch break, was tasked with drawing the new borderline for Pakistan and India. He drew it with absolutely no knowledge or care or understanding of religious implications, and uprooted over 10 million people of varying religions, and forced them to move, causing tensions that escalated into violence. Radcliffe, the lawyer, and his team had no experience in borders, no advisors on how to draw a border, deliberately didn't get the UN experts involved as it would save time and save face and not give the impression that the British weren't losing control of their empire. Now we have, still to this day, a war between Pakistan and India. Radcliffe burnt all his papers before leaving, and admitted that his lack of adaptation for the Indian climate affected his decision-making time as he just wanted to leave. So basically, he drew a border through a swath of religions, understanding and not caring about the religious implications and uprooting people's lives, because beep this place, it's too hot, I'm going home. Yeah, that'll do, let's go.
This comment has been censored by the Chinese Communist Party. China is the best country that has ever existed, and will ever exist.
Switzerland sold a beep ton of guns to the Nazis.
Erasing people that are against the government politics happens every time in Mexico.
If most people means less than 50%, while the US would, overall, accept some 132,000 European Jews from 1933 to 1945, they also turned many away, including effectively halting emigration of European Jews between 1940-41. Roughly 60% of Americans surveyed, between 1938 to 1940 in 5 different polls, found Jews to have objectionable qualities. State Department officials tried to block a report about the existence of the Holocaust in August 1942, only passing the information along after a 3-month investigation. The State Department also delayed issuing funds to the World Jewish Congress. Roosevelt never issued an appeal to the German people regarding the treatment of its Jewish citizens, despite his promise to do so, even after knowledge of the Holocaust was in the press.
Indian residential schools. In Canada, starting in the mid-1800s, it became law that all Indigenous children had to attend boarding schools funded by the government. If the families refused, the children were forcibly removed by a special police force. The children were stripped of their culture and forbidden to speak their indigenous language, to better assimilate them to the Euro-majority population. Many of the schools were in remote locations to try to prevent families from intervening in the indoctrination of their children by the Catholic and Protestant churches at Canada's behest. The schools were overcrowded, underfunded, and had a mortality rate of 40 to 60%. Sexual and physical abuse was rampant. A good chunk of Canadians were unaware to various extents of schools, but over 150,000 children attended the schools over more than 100 years. The last one closed in 1996, so this history and trauma are much more recent than people are aware of. There's been shockwaves the past month up here, as searches on just a handful of properties that house the schools found almost 2,000 unmarked graves.
Swedish government police lost 14,000 out of 22,000 wanted illegal immigrants that were supposed to be extradited. Nobody knows where they went, and I think most of them are still lost, even after 6 years. Literally lost a whole town of potential criminals. People knew about it back then, but it was very quickly forgotten.
Operation Northwoods was planned, hit not out into action. The fact that the government planned something like that in the 60s, when morals were supposed to be better and higher than we have today, is terrifying. Then there's the Tuskegee syphilis experiment. MK Ultra MK Naomi Operation Mockingbird Japanese American internment camps 1970 Kent State shooting NSA spying and wiretapping of Americans COINTELPRO MOVE Philadelphia 2014 Bureau of Land Management land grab at Bundy Ranch.
ITT. Well-known American atrocities.
Netherlands. Massacring close to the entire population of an island group in Indonesia because we wanted all the nutmeg for ourselves. It happened in the 17th century on the Banda Islands.
In 1990 India, over 95,000 Hindus were made to leave their home or convert to Islam. Women and children were raped and they were killing people who weren't circumcised. Worst part is government was just watching in silence because taking actions against this wouldn't sweet their vote bank politics agenda.
Allowed naked shorting in the market, which is going to cause an economic collapse while also allowing subprime loans for businesses after '08.
Nuclear veterans.
Genocide. A beep ton of it.
May your day be filled with joy and happiness. And please remember to subscribe to Upvote for the best quality content every day.